thing I wanted to remember to tell you before I forget, related to your DC adventure, that, you know, I am part of the American Nationals group and everything, that the bordering states, so Virginia and Maryland, actually are, the assemblies there are working to reclaim that land. So that land had been gifted to the district to create a separate entity, as you know. And the assemblies are working to say that the purpose of it has not been fulfilled the way it was, you know, under the intention, the original intention. And they are—
Who are the assemblies? They're like—
So the like each state has an assembly. So I'm a coordinator for the Wyoming Assembly. They're under the American State Assemblies, the American
Okay.
State Assembly. So TASA is what we usually call it. They're under TASA. And they're the original assemblies based on the organic constitution, not the constitution that was co-opted during the Civil War.
Okay.
Because they ran out of, they didn't have a quorum in Congress. And so they changed they basically pulled the Constitution and they turned it into bylaws for a corporation. So that was what was the foundation of the U.S. corporation.
Okay.
So it's they're functioning, everything that you know as the Constitution that people refer to in relationship to the legal structure are bylaws based on the corporation. But the organic constitution is the one that we originally had in 1776. So there are certain pieces that are not in the organic constitution that they've added into these corporate bylaws. And we are not, as Americans, we are not beholden to those. But they like to, because they've turned us into citizens with our birth certificates, they have enslaved us in that capacity. It may not be the U.S. corporation. It may have been like the name at the time of the Civil War might have been like the United States, like they've done everything to deceive us. So originally in the organic constitution, it's lowercase the, lowercase u for unite. United is an adjective. The United States, capital states that we are nation states. Whereas like, so when they incorporated it, it was under, I can't remember if it was the capital the U, capital S, but all the United States, or, you know, I don't think it was abbreviated at that point, but they did it under a guise to confuse us, you know.
Right. I have a question for you then. What do
Yeah.
you think about, because I've been getting a lot of word that DC is actually a ghost town, like nobody's there right
Yeah,
now.
I
They're
know.
moving
I heard you
things.
guys talking about that too. And yeah, I've heard the same thing. And I was wondering too, because my co-coordinator and I were just, one of the things you do is you send these letters that notify all these public officials. And we were looking at the addresses that we had to send to. There was Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and then the Assistant Secretary, and they are supposedly in like the same building or whatever. Anyway, we were getting confused, and it made me think of that too. Like, is this letter even getting to them? Like, are they even there? Have they like been relocated? Like, who knows? I think that—
Well, I'm wondering if this goes hand in hand with the Virginia Assembly wanting to retake those lands back. So if they did that, would they be just like integrating it as
Virginia,
one of their states?
yeah, the original meets and bounds of the land. Yeah. And I'm not 100% sure where they were at in that, but they were like just a couple months ago on, because we have coordinator calls like every Saturday. And a couple months ago, they were saying that they were, they were definitely looking into what they, what were the first steps they needed to take. Like you kind of have to go through, like, I think they have to notice like certain people, like, because you haven't done this X, Y, or Z, we are going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then it's, it's hard. It's, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We're all working on this, like, one major notice package that goes out to the de facto is what we refer to it as, the corporate governments, basically.
Can I ask you how influential are these assemblies?
They're good. And actually, I want to say too, Florida's assembly is rocking awesome, by the way. Like, Ralph is the coordinator for Florida. I don't even know his last name, but he's super smart. They're creating their own monetary system. Like, you guys are getting your own coins and everything. Like, they're actually minting their own coins. But I mean, that we can tell in very subtle ways that we're having an effect. Like, and a lot of it is that we're doing it through education. Like, we're not trying to meet these other government structures with anger. We're really working to come in peace and to educate them, because most of the people in the structures, they just have no idea. It's been so long, they're just completely indoctrinated into it, so there's like so the first thing that we're working on is this notices package, which is like it's like 115-page package that basically breaks down, like, all of the things that they have, like, it just documents the I don't even know what you call it, the deception. It documents the deception that's gone on. It shows you all of the military books and all of the different things where it's been done, basically, to co-opt all all Americans into being US citizens. And so we do believe that if we get these notices out, and everyone is really working hard to get them out, throughout the year. But, like, for example, my co-coordinator and we're on such a steep learning curve of all of this, because we're fairly new. We're like having to meet all the time and like just read through this stuff, because we have to sign our names on it, and I don't want to sign anything that I don't totally understand. And we're doing it on behalf of everybody. So
how does someone become a part of their state assembly to work towards?
So you just, I mean, you can, if you go here, I can probably even put it in the chat for you, like let's see, let me get the TASA site. So this is let me send this to you here. This is the TASA, I just call it TASA, the American State Assemblies. And then on there, here, actually, I could do this really quick. Let me just screen share. Oh, it's disabled. Sorry, that's okay. Anyway, okay. If you just go there, and then I will show you the other link. Hang on. I'm just getting to it for you so you don't have to search.
All right, thank you so much for that. I'll go ahead and screen share. Oh,
okay. Okay, cool. Okay, so then if you go to the 50 state assemblies on the top right, navigation, where it said, click there, and then click on Florida, basically. You can click on the map on Florida, or you can click on the letters on the top. Either one works. And it should take you to, click on that button part. There it goes. Okay. So this is yours, Ralph. So see, it says contact Ralph. So click,
okay. All right.
Yeah. And then you just fill out that form, and then someone, either Ralph or someone else, should get in touch with you. And you're, and then you can find out, because I don't know how they meet there exactly, but he's got all kinds of great educational material. I do know that. So.
Wow. Okay. This is really cool. So maybe what are like the principles in which the assemblies stand for? So
Um,
if
that
maybe you can define that, just kind
I
of like,
I don't know if it's, I mean, well, we consider ourselves to be peaceful. We consider ourselves to be peaceful Americans, and we work really hard um to define that, because a lot of people kind of come in angry. They're so sad and angry about their, when the people start to realize how they've been deceived, right?
yeah,
So we have to work sometimes to unwind what we call the corporate mentality um, around their understanding of what it means to be working together by the people for the people. So there's like, I mean, by the people for the people means we all listen to each other. We all take each other's ideas in. Nobody's, whereas like in a corporate structure, oftentimes some will say, well, it's just easier if I do it, I'll just get it done. But we go above and beyond to really follow the model of this. And then it's all set up. And so Anna von Reitz is who you're seeing there. And she's one of many men, I think mostly men, but some probably women too, that basically did all this research over the last like 20 years. And she has a book that's called Something's Wrong When, an American Affidavit. And it's on YouTube too. If you you can, I find it handy, but I find it handy to like check it out on YouTube. Yeah, if you type in Something's Wrong When, you should be able to find not white girl. Let's see what happens. Okay, so there it is. That one, jurisdiction of the land. If you click there, and so that channel, Returning Home, has
okay,
has two playlists. I think one is Something's Wrong When, and it goes through like I can't remember how many. I think there's 10 or 11. They have two playlists. That one, and then one that's called Blood Money, the Blood Money series.
okay.
And they're both great. I like them if you're an audio person as opposed to reading. It follows the book, as well. So
Wow, this looks amazing. Jurisdiction of the air, jurisdiction of the
yeah,
land,
yeah, it's really
jurisdiction
good.
of the sea. Oh, I need to
Yeah.
watch this.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
really, really good. And honestly, the one thing I would say, I mean, you're super smart and you have a big giant brain, but it is overwhelming. So just know that like, it's kind of one of those things where you get like one level, and then the next time you go and you get like the next level and you're like, holy crap, I didn't really internalize that, holy moly, it's deep. It's fucking deep. I just got no, like my mind has been blown by this, and it's changed everything for me in how I mean, it'll change how you are. I mean, I have so many, it's like a bad divorce, you have to like unwind all of the structures that you've put in place to create this bad relationship. And so I just have like a lot of compassion for myself, knowing that you can't undo everything overnight,
Yeah.
There's just
But I mean, this is kind of like we talk about spiritual activism.
mhm.
I mean, this is kind of like merged. I mean, I almost feel like this is what grid work is,
Totally. No, it
Yeah.
absolutely 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they go really well together. Like it's the same thing.
It's like we're spiritual action and intellect
Mhm.
and the physical and breaking through the shields of the draconic law. Like it's where you're merging and finding
Exactly.
purpose.
And there's things on a 3D level. These are the things on the 3D level that have to be dismantled. That's the way
Mm-hmm.
I see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like there's the energetic grid structures and like tags and implants and all these things that it's the same freaking thing, but it's in a 3D physical structure, and they have to be dismantled, and we have to stop engaging in them. But it's not easy. They've made it really not easy for us. So that's why I was saying I just have patience, anyway.
Well, it's everything that we're talking about is designed because this is the functioning that we need to ultimately participate in just life itself. Everything is so structured.
Yeah, exactly.
Down through the entanglement of finances and the Federal Reserve and these corporations that uphold. And so, yeah, it's a dismantling that has to happen from the inside out. I
Yeah.
see this as an internal energy that's coming in.
Yeah.
It's we rise up and into it and then push and cycle out what's not good, and then it rebuilds, redefines, repairs, and comes back in.
Totally feel this. I felt we had some issues with some of our assembly members having to go to the courthouse, and so I was doing some energy work just before he had to go in. This guy that's in our assembly had to go in, and I got this sense that it was like the courthouse was having like an enema or something. It just felt like there was all this sludge that was just being like purged, but that everybody in there was like trying to reconfigure and get their heads around it. And I can tell you, in the last 6 months, we've had 2 court cases that have gone through there. The first time the judge was like combatant. It was like, we don't listen to you. We don't do this. You behave. And then now he's like, oh, well, what do you guys call yours? He's changed tactics. It's not good. It's not a good change per se. Usually that's what psychopathic people do, is they'll change tactics so that they can keep you, engaged.
But you have to slowly start to break down even his resistance structures.
Yeah, exactly. The funniest thing is, I got to tell you, when I moved here, the house I moved into, it was the former house of the woman who is the county clerk, who's it's kind of a big position, and she's horrible. Like she's dirty. She plays dirty politics. But then we just bought a house across for my mother-in-law. It's right across the street from the judge. I'm not kidding you. It is so freaking weird. Like, I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I feel like we're supposed to be putting our energy in this area. Like, why are we around these like weird power people in our community,
Wow.
Very strange.
Well, you're definitely supposed to be working on the land, the ley lines running through.
I know. So I would be curious to do, that's something I'd like to do in the future with you, is to kind of look at where I'm at and what you get any insights on what's going on here, to help me. Cause I haven't really made the time to dig into your coursework on grid work, but I'm going to. But that is something I'd like to be, putting a lot of intention into.
Okay. You always activate me so much every time I talk to you.
Well, I feel pretty activated too. So, and then the funny thing is, like, I don't even mean to like be sharing, like, I'm like here, I'm like ready for, to do our thing. And then I'm like, but wait, I know she's going to want to know this one thing. Like,
no, this is so important. And I just want to thank you. And as we prepare for DC, like this information is important, that we know the resources within the land and spiritual soul bodies in which we can call upon to anchor more of this clearing in as we kind of move through it, because there are resources working on the behalf of light. What are those? We need to identify what they are.
Exactly. Absolutely. And people have said, like, there's a lot of controversy, like there's a number of folks in this field. You'll find that, like, I think that Florida has like a Republic of Florida and things like that. And there's different people that are doing it in slightly different ways. Like there's certain paperwork that you do to kind of disassociate yourself. And I have to say, like, I mean, it's really confusing because there's so many things out there. And when you're doing this research and you find something, but I kept coming back to the fact that there's this like older woman, Grandma Anna von Reitz, who's like done this work. And like, she has nothing in it. She lives in Alaska. Like her heart is pure. And everything I've witnessed and I've been on these calls where she's either on the call or her, the woman who's the coordinator in Washington, not Washington, obviously DC is not a thing, but in Washington State, her name's Terry Som. She's amazing. She's seriously like, I think she's from an elven race. Like, she's so calm and so wise. And if you even knew half of what she had to deal with behind the scenes, it's insane. Like she's just, so anyway, I'm just telling you, because you may find like people are like, well, I followed the David Straight method, or I followed the, Florida Republic or whatever. And it's like, and I don't diss any of these other things. Like they're all moving us towards like a better place. Like anything to get us away from those structures is good. I just personally find what Anna's doing and the structure that she puts behind it so that we can actually be effective to be the best one,
Yeah. No, I think that's amazing. And I think obviously she's a mentor, a pioneer of her own kind.
Totally.
I'm going to totally look into this. I want to see what it takes for the Florida Assembly. Yeah. I really feel like the revolution in a lot of ways is coming through Florida. Just it feels like it has a big voice right now.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of people really pumped in that state, which is.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people have moved here. It's the conservative, it's where the conservative resistance has arose.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. And not saying that that's like pinning political parties against each other, because it technically is like we're like dipping into the scatter mutation polarity grid with all of that.
Right.
But it's not so much that. I think it's more of just balance. Finding balance.
Yeah. Definitely.
So important. And this is such awesome information. Would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And would you just say like who you are and what your business is and all of that good stuff? Like introduce yourself. Yeah.
Okay. I am Margaret Jacobson, and I am the Minister of the Interior of Yao Company. And we have Yao Company, and under sort of that's the parent organization for Yao Clinic and then Yin-care. So Yao Clinic is a Chinese medical clinic that we've had. It's the larger location is in Lander, Wyoming, and it is slated to open probably at the end of the summer, beginning of fall. We've had delays in that, but it was originally located in Denver, Colorado, and was there for over 20 years. And my husband, Daniel Hudson, is the Chinese medical doctor that sees patients and whatnot. We have a really large granular herbal pharmacy that treats people and all kinds of exciting good stuff in that front. We had relocated to Wyoming to originally grow some of the herbs that are traditionally found growing in the areas of Mongolia in China, because Wyoming has a similar climate. So we've been working on kind of establishing that. But in the meantime, growing our own
Which herbs specifically?
Well, that'll be a surprise.
Okay, all right.
We don't want to give any away of our big, exciting secrets yet.
Wow, how soul mission are you aligned?
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
And then we sell Yin-care, which is my husband brought in to the US over 20 years ago. That is an herbal wash product, but we are actually in the process of launching that website. We are moving it off. It's mostly distributed through practitioners. So practitioners of Chinese medicine. Actually, there's someone I was going to tell you, because So I'm sending some out to you in NOCO, but there is a practitioner that just ordered, I think, in Pensacola, Florida. So anyway,
Okay.
that does get it. But in any case, we are moving it because people have been using it for over 20 years. There's a number of direct to consumer, people that want it. And we've sold it on Amazon, not because we wanted to be on Amazon, but because we were kind of got into it because we were policing other people that were getting their hands on it and were giving misuse information about it. So we've been, with all of the 5 million other things that were going on with our relocation, we have not launched the Yin-care website yet, but in the next couple of weeks, it will be launched, and that is yincare.com. And it will not just be a product-oriented website. It is a service and product-oriented website. So we're going to be bringing in all kinds of things that are related to womb health, and really oriented around what the name says, yin care. So things that will take care of women. And I've been in this field for a long time. I have a master's in health services administration. So I'm looking forward to kind of like pulling in resources for women that have been sort of disenfranchised and by their practitioner or their healthcare system. One of the things I like to I'm working to create a program that we will launch in the fall, which is related to really looking at how to come back into your own center and your own intuition and use your womb as a resource for knowing how to guide your own healthcare. So, for example, the deception related around medicine is often around marketing. It's all marketing. Everything, all of this is marketing, how we've been marketed around the government and everything, right? But it's
so even when you're going in to have your women parts looked at and they're suggesting you have a hysterectomy, this is something
absolutely
I hear a lot of women have had, and there's always this some of it is not knowing if the treatment was really necessary or if there's that component of medical tyranny.
Absolutely. And it comes back to trust, that we've given our trust away to these providers that really honestly don't deserve it. But we trust them enough that the reason we do is they put it into very subtle programming, such as you are scheduled for your wellness visit. So when you are scheduled for a wellness visit, that's implying that you don't know when you're well or not, that you have to go to someone else to tell you that you're well. So we have to look at just the words, breaking down the words, they're defining anything that's outside of Western medicine is complementary and alternative. We have to stop that. It's not complementary and alternative. It is in and of itself its own form of medicine. Chinese medicine is its own form of medicine. Naturopathy is its own form of medicine. We have to look at them as whole systems that support. They're not outside of any box just because your insurance doesn't pay for it.
Right. And we know why it doesn't. It's because it's to funnel us into the death and beast machines.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so then you have to ask yourself on that level, when you're ready, and this is the biggie, do you want to pay for that? Are you paying for that? Are you okay with putting your money into that beast machine with your insurance? Why are you? What are you getting out of it? Why is that important? I haven't had insurance for probably, I think 15 years now, because I had to really go all in. Do I 100% believe that I can take care of myself? And so that's a level of radical responsibility you have to take on,
Right. We've given our power away with our own health in so many ways. My gosh.
But the biggest thing is, the biggest thing that people come to with that is more well, I'm worried, what if I get hit by a car? And I agree. What if I do get hit by a car? But I sort of sorted that out in that I have resources I could pull from if I did want to participate in receiving some type of Western medicine to, assist in facilitating my healing, but you have to be ready, you do have to be ready to do that. But, you have to be, like you said, it's a beast machine. Are they really helping or are they hindering?
Well, the fact that, you just made that point, we don't even know if we're well and we're going in for wellness checks. That they're preemptively seeking out illness and disease in us to funnel us through their systems of like we're all recall. Again, you said marketing strategy.
Yeah.
We're being marketed through the health
and the doctors
slavery system.
The doctors are being marketed too. They're participating. They don't even know. I remember when my former friend of mine, had gone through medical school, and she, I remember I had gone through my master's program, and she said something like, I would think I was talking about massage therapy. I think I was doing a research project using massage. I can't remember exactly. And she's like, oh yeah, the, such and such drug company came in and we all got free massages and free lunches. And I said, well, are you okay with that? Like ethically, like, does not feel like you're being manipulated in some way she's like, no, everybody does it. And I was like, I'm not okay with everybody does it. Like, like that, do you understand what I'm saying? Like her point was,
Yeah.
all of us just accept these gifts. They are gifts from the pharmaceutical. It's just part of what we do. But the doctors aren't thinking like, look, that's going to control your bias on how you're, approaching your patients. You're going to start referring them to that drug or whatever it is because they gave you a massage or a free lunch. It just does. People do that all the time.
Yeah. So it's almost like the transformation or light bulb that I'm seeing that's going off in my mind is we need insurance companies that vouch for natural medicines.
And there are some that are out there. But honestly, the biggest piece for me is I just, and this is why I'm so excited about the course I'm going to offer. I wish I could, I wonder if I've got I don't have it pulled up right now.
And that's okay. Any links that you want to give me for this, we'll put it down in the description so everybody watching can go down and check out all of the links and your courses. And so,
well, the website will be up. It's not up right yet, but I can direct them to the website. They can I think it's collecting emails right now, so that's fine.
Okay.
And then,
so it's safe to say sign up for your website newsletter so that way you can receive the updates when things are getting sent out.
You can say that. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, but basically the biggest piece that I wanted to say is that people need to start, they just need to start tuning in to their own health and realizing that everything matters. Like, we get this idea that we understand what healthy is, but healthy is not the same thing for everybody. So the more we can tune into our own intuition about ourselves and stop listening to this external, I'm not saying don't use practitioners as a guiding, educational source, but there's a certain point when you're around a practitioner and they're giving you bad advice and you fucking know it. So listen up and say, I don't agree. But because they are in a power position, we're afraid to tell them, or we're afraid to say, I don't want to go to them anymore.
Well, I think the power that you feel is they are bonded to satanic ritual abuse. So there is this monumental living shadow that is, makes you feel inferior, like makes your light retract, right? Like
exactly. Absolutely. My dad is worried. He goes to his doctor and he's afraid of being looked at as a bad patient. I'm like, you're insane. Like,
oh, they're aggressive. They are aggressive.
Oh, yeah. I know. I've been so bullied. I'm still looking on old hard drives. I recorded this one thing from these doctors when I had asked them to not, give my kids the thing, not recently, but when my kids were little, like on a schedule, I was asking to not do it. And my ex was saying that they had to. And the doctor just was like, you do understand that you're probably going to kill them. Like it was like, I was like, yep, totally. I get it. I just walked out of there. I was like,
but that's what they do.
Yeah, they do. They're
That's
awful.
scary. It's scary. Oh, it is scary.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I could tell you where I went in 2020 with that. There was a lot of fear coming up at that time with the medical industry for me. More so it's subsided since all of that, but that was like a flare up of some trauma for sure.
For sure, for everybody. I mean, it made me retract. Like I was like, I had started to come out and speak my mind on things, and I'm very educated on it. I done like my master's thesis reviewing epidemiological studies and stuff. I'm no dummy. I know how to read scientific papers, and I was like expressing my opinion on it, and I just got so on social media, I just got totally attacked by people that were the classic example was a mom that was very concerned about her daughter being bullied in school, just completely lashed out on me and bullied me in a way that I was like, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? Like, you can't see that you're doing the same thing you don't want done to your daughter. I'm just trying to have a conversation with you. Like,
well, it's like the 3D realms are the purgatory realms. This is where the Orion Wars are being battled out. Like it's streamlined into the consciousness in this dimension through our most major stargates on the earth.
wow.
Yeah, Giza is running. I mean, all of the warfare gate systems in Iraq and in the Red Sea and the underwater Orion gate systems, all of that, it's coming up through our first, second, and third dimensional fields, but we live that. That's what we live through. So if we're going in to the 3D matrix, it's just the vicious velociraptor reptilian, right? That we're like,
Totally. It's insane. I know.
yeah.
Thank God we've got a good attitude, and we're like playful enough that like we can, navigate our way through
But
it.
it shows how strong we are. Some of us divine
That's
feminines
true.
carry a iron fist and a velvet glove.
Ooh,
And
that's
that's what I see. That's what I see with you.
good.
You pack a punch.
Yeah.
In the 3D, it's because we're like here to set the bar for balance
Yeah.
and to consume the living shadow with our light because we are so strong.
Yeah.
And I can see there's many women on this front of this pioneer. There
Yeah.
really is. Like we are a force that's collectively actually building the new earth step by step as we take on these more monumental tasks. At
Yeah.
some point, we will become that medical standard.
Yeah. I agree. I do see the light at the end of the tunnel, which is why I work so hard, at it. Because I just know. I know we're on our way.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm just not afraid of it.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm seeing also the nutrition for your intuition. You're exactly right when you said it's not the same for every single person.
Right.
Like, even if I hang out with my girlfriends, like, which I'm getting to do more and more, and I'm loving it so much because it's like full on fairyland the whole time. Mermaids, who knows what's going on, but it's like, right, everything becomes so real. You're just like, like total 4D. I could just see though how we are empowering each other while also accepting each other's differences in our health.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I loved that you said in your thing the other day, you're like, it takes me like 2+ hours. I was like, dude, it takes me 3 hours. I have tried to cut it short and I suck at it. Like it takes me, I mean, there's only a handful of days when things are super busy that I can sort of cut it short, but like I'm, and it's okay. Like there's, I had major trauma from my first birth as a cesarean, like, and I'm just finally in the final stages of recovering that in my hips. And I intuitively knew that I couldn't hold space for what I wanted to do with the yincare.com until my hips were recovered, because I felt like the physical structure, like I had to have good, strong, solid physical body to hold a community, which I wanted to create, and so you just have to everybody has to do what they have to do to take care of their injuries or themselves or whatever. And
Yeah.
I mean, I just see miracles when people just pay attention, like they start to navigate, like any step that people are taking towards their health. Like it's a long run, so okay, you started drinking more water this week, great, that's awesome. Just
Yeah.
one baby step at a time. Like anything you're starting to put your mind around that's like taking a step in that direction is awesome.
Yeah. Yep, you're so right. The process of purification is one that we shouldn't beat ourselves up over.
No,
Every little difference that we can do and that I think encourages the positive mindset that is necessary to keep shifting the vibration higher. Um, and just being gentle on yourself, right? Like,
totally,
yeah,
100%. Yeah, you can't,
yeah,
because we can backtrack on our things, or we get ourselves in a situation, but it's all learning. And you realize, my friend just was driving back home, and she's like, the only thing that was in my car was gummy bears. Well, she's like, next time I'll pack more good, healthy food. It's like, yeah, no biggie. Just
yeah, yeah.
there's
Well,
your
and I
line.
love earlier how you're talking about the spirits of the plants that you're planting, because I feel
Mhm.
like it's the same, like as you're gardening and uh toiling your fertile
Yeah,
soil. I think that's what people forget to do, is to enrich their soil in which
yeah,
they're planting their seeds into. How do
totally.
we do that on a spiritual level? I feel like this goes deep into our earth star chakra.
Uh, I
Um,
do too. I do, after taking I'm forgetting what you titled it for the last course that we just did, that I did with you and um God, the two,
the
yeah,
Starseed
that
expansion
one.
course.
Yeah,
Okay.
so one of them was talking, it was um oh my God, what are their names so I can remember, because I'm totally
Pink Bella Aloha and Light Star.
okay. So when Light Star was talking about I think it was like, yeah, she was talking about the purple flame, or like an indigo flame, not the blue flame, but like as a protection. And she was talking about gold, like placing like gold balls around like areas, creating barriers for protection. So I started doing this. I mean, I'd always envisioned I don't know if I can make this phone be quiet. So sorry about that. Um, anyway, she was talking about that, and I had been envisioning before, like connecting with my feet on the ground, the mycelium networks under me. But when she said that, I started pulling in a purple flame into my third eye, down my body, out my feet, and just imagining like waves that rippled across our property, that were this, purple light, and then going deep into the ground, and and I think, just like extending your own energy into the soil with that intention of like, that the soil is it's got life in there, even if it's in the middle of winter, it's doing stuff, it's getting ready, so sending your love and intention, like, okay, I want, create balance, bring everything in alignment with the vibrational frequency of love, like, let's and let's do this thing, like, let's see how I'm going to be planting. And I just kind of let them know, like, I'm going to be planting these seeds, like, you're going to be receiving them, like, you're going to teach me lessons. It could be that last year I got out there and I was like, felt like I was at battle with a bunch of bugs that were invading,
Okay.
but they're doing their job too, you know, they're aerating the soil and they're doing things, and sometimes they're going to take down the plants that I wanted, you know, but I can't, there's only so much you can do to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah,
I find for me, I've been juicing so much
yeah, that's
lately that I've been
awesome.
finding that they have spirits
Hmm.
themselves, right? Like as you take
Yeah,
them in, and then when you take
yeah,
them in when they're living, then those spirits can then speak to your organs and
I
speak to your
agree.
tissues, and
Totally agree.
it starts to guide you to other things that heal you, which is, yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I love it so much. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
I think juicing really brings out the intensity of the fruit or vegetable, so that you really get like that. That's actually one of the first things that I was getting breakthrough bleeding in my period in my later 30s. And someone had turned me on to this old, I don't know if you ever heard of this juice that was called Mona V. It's like a, high
I've heard of
antioxidant
it, I think.
juice, a lot of acai berries, and the way they processed it was really, I mean, if they were processing it the way they said they did, it was really a high quality product. I mean, they sell it to you in like a wine bottle, it looks really swanky and everything. Anyway, I started drinking this juice and my periods got regular. And so then I went and I talked to the naturopath that I was working with, and I'm like, look, I don't want to pay for this. It's super expensive, but this is working for me. And she's like, why don't you just try juicing, other stuff? And so I did. I borrowed a friend's juicer. My friend was like, look, you should just borrow mine for a little bit, see if you like it, because it's kind of
Mhm.
a thing. You have to, kind of get used to like the process of it. And I borrowed it and I was like, and it kept the whole thing going. And then of course there was like 5 million other things. I stopped eating gluten, I stopped eating dairy, I stopped eating eggs, like all those things had been really messing with me. I have celiac. I didn't even know that, at the time. So there was like a bunch, so that's what I'm saying. Like it's baby
Mhm.
steps. It's baby
Yeah.
steps,
Yeah.
But juicing's awesome. Keep that up. That's fun.
Yeah, girl.
Especially where
Yeah.
you are in that good weather. That's the perfect place for all of that kind of diet.
Oh my gosh. I think it's the perfect place everywhere. Everywhere. And it's hard though when you're dealing more with the cold and the wind, you
Yeah,
know.
the definitely in the winter, like this time of year, I don't need much, meat at all. Like it's fine, um, but in the winter, for sure, like it's too much. I can't take it without a little bit of, meat protein or
Right, right.
fats,
Yeah.
meat fat.